Ladies, gentlemen, and disappointments. We are coming to you live from the woman caves in New York and Connecticut. My name is Leslie.
And my name is Melissa.
And we are Verbally Disastrous. This podcast is copyrighted through the U.S. Copyright Office as well as the Writers Guild of America. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Leslie M. Jasper of the Verbally Disastrous podcast that can be found on over 20 podcast platforms, including YouTube. For this episode, I'm going to explain why I've been off the grid for a little period of time. Firstly, I would like to announce that my first children's book, entitled Not All Girls Play with Dolls, is now officially on Amazon as a paperback as well as a Kindle ebook. I also have it on iTunes, and I know it was in the process of being approved for Nook through Barnes & Noble. I'm actually rather excited about the feedback that I've received already, the people that have told me that they've purchased the book. My mother-in-law, shout out to Miss Margie, aka Mom. She just got a copy. She wants to read the book and then offer me a review. So that will be my first review. So I'm honored that she picked up the book and she's going to offer me a review. I heard some other folks said that they were going to purchase it. So this is all super exciting. Shout out to my illustrator, Anastasia Taranenko. I apologize if I say her name incorrectly. I found Anastasia, who works under the name Tad Art, on the website Fiverr, and she is from Russia. So she had shared with me that she has family in Ukraine. Despite what was going on and the fear of the Fiverr website shutting down, we finished strong so that I could get the paperback up and live. I'm concerned for her and her family because I've been working with her for the past year and a half. Such a delightful woman. Anything I need, she takes care of it. If for some reason she was busy with other tasks, she would try to offer the illustrations for free, which I feel like if you do any work, I owe you the money at the end of the day. But I was able to square up with her before the website or Instagram shut down. It's tough when you've been working with somebody and they've been nothing but good to you, and to see that they're in the middle of a huge conflict on their side of the globe. So my heart goes out to her as well as her family. I'm not taking a position on that conflict because I'm sure there's more sides of the story that I'm not privy to that knowledge anyhow. So I've been engrossed with that. The biggest challenge was figuring out how to get the book online now that CreateSpace is no longer there on the internet. Back in 2012, when I was figuring out how to get Construction Tales launched, they had this website CreateSpace, which is a subdivision of Amazon. So it really gave you a bouncing ball and a template. We're able to seamlessly go through it from cradle to grave. I just assumed that it was going to be there when I was ready to release this children's book. To my shock, I found out it was no longer there. I'm like, what? My neighbors probably heard me scream in disbelief. Just kidding. It wasn't that serious. So I was thinking, okay, how do I get this book up and rolling, formatted, and launched onto Amazon with no rejection, so to speak, with the review process? So I remembered that I have produced some journals, some organizers, some gratitude journals, some sketchbooks. I have a whole, 300 or 400 different ones on Amazon. So I use Bookbolt.io in order to craft these books to get them up on Amazon. It was like my little busy work to do in the downtime when I'm bored. So I said, well, let me see if it is possible that I can create the paperback on BookBolt, and I found the internal design tool. So I was able to create the interior on BookBolt and the cover. So after a couple little back and forth, and Anastasia came through for me to give me the edits, I was able to get it up, and it's live on Amazon. It's maybe been on a week. I think it's been on a week. I believe I released it, and it finally went live March 18th. So I've been going back and forth with that, trying to make sure that there's not any errors. I'm sure I'm not perfect, so I'm sure there possibly could be an error, and if there is, I apologize. I know there's been a tremendous amount of work to try to get it up there, so it could be something that I'm proud of, and I would love to see it as a bestseller. Once I got the paperback up, I was looking through the directions on KDP, which is the publishing platform that loads up the books onto Amazon, and they gave like a million different little how-tos that all felt like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make this happen? So I looked up what's a free EPUB file creation tool, and I found Reedsy, and that is spelled Reedsy. So they have a free platform where you use their tools and load up the EPUB, but it also serves as another spot to market the book. And I had never created the Goodreads profile. I knew I had one for the book, so I linked up all my books. I have the Construction Tales adult version, I have the edited teen version, and then I have Not All Girls Play with Dolls. So I was able to I updated the profile because, in all fairness, I have not updated the Author Central profile since 2013. So it was high time that I did a little update on there. I linked the Reedsy profile with the Goodreads, so hopefully I'll get some interactions now that it looks more professional than it did in the past. Once I got the EPUB file, so now it's a Kindle, I'm actually happy that I was able to add the illustrations to the ebook, so that made it excellent. I was like, this is perfect. So the Kindle ebook has the illustrations in it. However, the Nook, I couldn't add the illustrations to it because the file was too large and they wouldn't accept it. Now, the iTunes, that was my next task to tackle, and I was intimidated. I will tell you that this much. Back in 2012, 2013, when I was trying to figure out how to do iTunes, you needed to have a Mac or an iPad, iPod. I'm a Windows person, so it was like, how do you create an iTunes book when I don't have that? I'm not going to go spend money on a MacBook, and I think I felt at the time on an iPad it was too arduous of a process, so I had to ask my son, Tom, to take care of it. And I also had to ask my cousin who's in Ohio, shout out to Christina, so she helped, and then it was able to get loaded up onto iTunes. So now fast forward, almost 9 years later, I said, you know what? I'm not going to ask anybody for help. I'm going to try to tackle this myself. And even if that means I gotta buy a new iPad or what have you, I'm going to figure this out. And I'm going to do this on my own. So I did. And to my surprise, I found, when I was navigating on iConnect, which is the author login in order to load books up to iTunes, iBooks, I found the path to load that puppy up that did not require using a MacBook or iPad. So I was able to load that up and it went live, and I'm like, I did it! I did it without any help! This is so awesome. You have no idea. I know that I am explaining how excited I am about this. I know that I'm articulating that I'm excited that I was able to do this by myself, but I don't think what I'm saying is doing it justice. It was just that great. I bragged to anyone who listened that I was able to release this puppy all by myself. So I would say that during the process, the past year of learning how to do this podcast, that has given me some skills in order to push forward and do something that 9 years ago was extremely intimidating. So I'm highly grateful that I've grown with the technology, because before I wouldn't even want to load my iPad or my iPod. I didn't even want to load my iPod with songs. I would just ask my son to put it on because I just didn't want to learn. Back when I worked with the tools, didn't need a computer during the day, so I felt like, why do I have to learn? I don't need to learn. Then I end up moving into the office realm back in 2014, and it was time to become a little bit more savvy with the computer. But not only did I have to do that, I got a crash course in AutoCAD, which is two-dimensional drawings, the program that you create the drawing. So once I started doing that, then I had to get over that fear of not being able to accomplish. I was thinking, oh, this is so overwhelming. How am I going to learn this? Because computers are not my thing. So I've improved dramatically over the past 9 years, and I'm highly grateful for these particular life events that have pushed me in that direction. Am I ready for an IT job? Hell no. Or I'm not ready to sing either. I sound terrible. But I keep pushing on, and you get a little bit better more and more each day. So that's awesome. So the iTunes book is in 51 countries worldwide. So it's amazing. Where the tentacles don't extend, say Amazon, the iTunes book does. So I have to make sure I let people know that the book is electronically available through iTunes. So that was super exciting. My next move is to do the Audible version of the book. However, when I go to try to plug it in to pull up the book in order to start crafting it, Audible is not yet recognizing the book as being available on Amazon yet. So I need to craft the book. Obviously, I use Soundtrap for now, but I believe I'm going to have to change it up because I'm getting a new laptop. Actually, I got a new laptop, and it's being worked on this weekend or next week as we speak, so that I'll have the ability to be able to do video as well as audio. So trying to push past just doing audio so that I could do interviews with people and you could see them. So I also signed up for Twitch. I have to figure out how to use it, but I'm trying. Anyhow, that is the reason as to why I've had a pause in creating my podcast episodes. I also took on a project. So for my next podcast episode, I will talk about my first site safety manager gig. So when I'm not working, I'm the night owl. I'm up till 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I've been up as late as 7 in the morning. And then I sleep for a few hours and then back up. So going through this whole schedule change has been a little tough on me for the first month of having to get up early and rejoin the workforce after I earned my site safety manager license. But I'm going to share with you about that adventure in the next podcast episode. Now you may ask, what is Not All Girls Play with Dolls all about? Now, I wanted to create my very first children's book, and I figured why not use my childhood loosely based upon my childhood. You take the good and you throw away the bad. And let's create a book that will inspire young girls that are the same as myself when I was growing up. Inspire them to do, and even boys. I'm not excluding anybody. The goal of this book is to inspire young girls and boys to pursue what it is that they want, whether it be career, love, artistic paths, whatever it may be. Go ahead and do that, even if your society tells you that you shouldn't be doing that because that's not what guys or girls do. The beauty in my childhood is I had a father who saw my mechanical abilities when I was young, before I even knew that they existed, and he used to work on that. So he always used to tell me that you're smart and you're strong, and because of that, you can do anything a guy can do, and even better. So he always pushed me, always. I was learning how to drive 18-wheeler Peterbilt's Max Kenworths when I was 15 years old. My dad worked in a truck shop as a diesel mechanic. He did the maintenance on a fleet of 24 tractor trailers for a logging company out in Oregon. So I decided to craft the book loosely upon my experiences, one of which was going into the military, and then the other one was following the path that my father pushed and encouraged as far as working out in the gym, pushing yourself past what would be considered normal. So without totally giving the book away, I gotta leave something to the imagination. But I'm gonna give you a little taste with the book summary. Once upon a time, a little girl named Kenna was born into a family where anything is possible. Kenna developed an instant paternal bond with her father, named Sam, at birth. Kenna's mother, named Marie, watched lovingly as the dynamic duo became even more and more attached to each other over time. Sam spent many years teaching Kenna how to work on cars and trucks in the family garage and at Sam's truck shop where he worked as a diesel mechanic. Kenna's little sister, named Susan, stayed back with her mother since she wasn't interested in working with her hands. Ever since Kenna was a toddler, Sam always told her repeatedly that since she is smart and strong, she could do anything that she sets her mind to do. As Kenna grew up following her father's guidance, she realized that she really liked working with tools. Go with Kenna on this life path as she grows up and follows the career path where her talents lie. Kenna joined the military and made a non-traditional career choice with her father's love and encouragement the entire time. The goal of this book is to inspire boys and girls to allow their natural talents to guide them into their career paths and life goals. Gather the courage to chase those dreams even in the face of doubts from others around them in society. After all, it is your life to live and choices to make. You can do it because you're talented, smart, and strong. Hopefully, this book will inspire some young people to pursue exactly what it is that they want to do and push forward no matter the obstacles. Now I'm going to share with you my dedication. This book is in honor of my two sons, Tom and Johnny. They are indeed my life mission and biggest accomplishments. They make me more and more proud as each day passes. It is an absolute privilege to serve as a mentor to guide them while they continue their journeys within the realm of manhood. I'm dedicating this book to my close friend Melissa and my co-host, who bravely pushed through fear during the COVID-19 pandemic as an emergency room nurse. Since I missed him in my last book by mistake, I'm also dedicating this book to my stepdad, Doug, out in Oregon. He has held the lantern in the family and has served as a loving father figure for many years now. My sister Kim and close friend Donnie, who were my biggest supporters during my last book release. I take great pride in calling them my beloved family. Another key person who has been there for me when I needed him is my dear friend Anthony. While I'm not the chattiest in the morning and I was grumpy post-surgery, he has always been a constant, close friend in my life and has always had my back as I indeed return the favor. This book is dedicated to the boys and girls out there who refuse to take no for an answer. Find your strength, power, and determination and go for your goals. Last but not least, I dedicate this book to the people who are suffering greatly in the nations of Russia and Ukraine as a result of the 2022 invasion. May a resolution come soon and peace be restored to the region along with the families impacted by war. I thank you if you have purchased the book. I thank you if this has inspired you to go out and purchase it, I would love a review. I would appreciate a review. Practically begging for a review. I want to give a good, nice, hearty shout out to Jennifer Brown Banks, who is the author, blogger of Pen and Prosper. I first was introduced to her through sharing her author article that came as a result of the Awesome Gang newsletter. So she reached out to me and asked me if I would answer some questions in honor of Women's History Month. I said absolutely. So as soon as she sent them to me, I responded and returned. And the article was featured this past week in her newsletter. So by all means, go check it out. Her blog is at penandprosper.blogspot.com. I also would like to give a shout out to a fellow journeywoman electrician out in Portland, Oregon. Her name is Isis Harris. She just created a clothing line called Everyday Grind. I picked out a shirt and a sweater, so I plan to release a little blurb about her on my blog, so I might as well give her a shout out in my next podcast episode as well, since it's always good to have fellow trade women support other trade women in their ventures. But that is what I have for this week. I'm sure there'll be some amazing stuff coming down next week, so stay tuned. This wraps up this podcast episode. I thank you for taking the time to listen to me brag about my book. For more information, head over to my website at www.constructiontales.com. I wish you a fabulous day and have a good weekend. Take care. Peace out, Cub Scout. This wraps up another episode on the Verbally Disastrous podcast that can be found on over 20 podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. For more information, head over to our website at www.constructiontales.com. I thank you for listening and have a great day. This podcast is protected through the U.S. Copyright Office as well as the Writers Guild of America.